Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Hoops All In podcast. If you guys are new, don't forget to subscribe to Hoops All In on YouTube and also follow us on the social media at Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X. As always, I'm your host, Werls Francois, with my co-host Keith Baseman. Keith Baseman, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. We wrapped up our conference finals finally. I don't know how you feel about it as a Knicks fan over there, but we'll get into it. I'm good. I'm good. We got our finals coming up.
We'll get into it. But yeah, don't forget, as I mentioned, don't forget to subscribe to the Hoops All In on YouTube, and also check out Keith Baseman's personal Hoops All In YouTube channel at Keith HAI. He does good work over there.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's get right into it. So the Indiana Pacers eliminated the New York Knicks in six. They'll be moving on to the NBA Finals, their first time since I believe what 2000 against the Lakers.
Yes.
Long time ago. Yeah.
Since the man who's broadcasting was on the team.
Yeah, so shout out to Reggie Miller. He finally get to see that moment for his team that he played in the past 25 years. They finally go back to the promised land, but they're going up against a tough team in Oklahoma City Thunder. But the Pacers get it done. They eliminate the Knicks. They are the Eastern Conference champions. Pascal Siakam was named Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which was a shock to a couple of people. But yeah, we're going to talk about the game. So Indiana Pacers, man, they were just a better team. Tyrese Halliburton took his peers calling him overrated personally. He said overrate that after they eliminated, I believe, the Cavs, and he should have said that after they eliminated the Knicks. But Pacers was just a better team. They were a better matchup. They played deeper. Rick Carlisle just out coached Tom Thibodeau. They just were just too deep at the guard position, especially at the shooting guard with Eric Neesmith, Nimhard, Matherin, even Opie Toppin played a little bit small forward. Those guys were just out running, gunning. And what hurt the New York Knicks is they turned the fucking basketball over way too many times. Way too many times. They had, I think, in that game six, the Pacers scored 34 points off turnovers. The Knicks committed 18 turnovers, and the Pacers capitalized. And especially too, the minute when even the Knicks were taking care of the basketball, they scored. They were not getting back on defense fast enough because the minute the Knicks scored, the Pacers were on the other end on an outlet pass or one or two dribbles past half court, and they got an easy layup. Cat looked exhausted defensively. There was so many miscues on the defensive end from the Knicks. Even Mikal Bridges was like, "Yo, what are we doing?" Jalen Brunson got cooked a couple times defensively. So
Yep.
the Knicks are gonna have to make some, acquisitions. Gonna have to make some roster moves in the off season. But the Pacers, they were just an overall better team. They got exploited depth wise. They got exploited defensively. And yeah, and this is why Indiana's going to the NBA Finals, and the Knicks are going to Cancun. So, what do you think about the Pacers sending the Knicks home in six?
Yeah. It could have been five if Tyrese Halliburton didn't go back on everything he's done that was so great. He shot 7 shots in game five, had like 8 points, and it was such a bad game because everything we had been praising him on for his confidence, his way to take over, went out the door in game five. I don't know what happened. 7 shots.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. When he misses his first couple shots, he takes no more. He barely takes any. But if he's feeling confident, there's no one that can stop him. But I mean, yeah, the Knicks just. I've been critical of the Knicks all year, mainly Carl Anthony Towns, just because Carl Anthony Towns is one of the most gifted offensive centers we've seen, especially up to the point of when he got drafted in 2015. But man, like it's sometimes that's like, would you just rather have a traditional center? Because like again, what he gives on off, like you traded for him to have the offensive side.
Mm-hmm.
They knew what they were getting. There's a reason the Timberwolves brought in a at the time 3-time defensive player of the year to play next to him is because they didn't trust him to be the lone center. He goes back and he this is what he does, and then even game 5, I believe actually it might have been game 3, whichever game they won where they brought Josh Hart off the bench and they started Mitchell Robinson, they won the first game doing it. It's like that might be an avenue that the Knicks need to explore of like doing that full time, maybe pushing Josh Hart to the bench and finding a five that can be alongside Cat because if we're being honest, Mitchell Robinson is not the greatest like shape. He gets hurt a lot. He mainly can't play a lot of the season, and sometimes he's hurt in the playoffs. But I don't know if that's an avenue they go down to, but they definitely need to switch something. There's no way that they come back into the season with 6 players they can trust. Like there's
Yeah,
if Tom Thibodeau's job is really safe, like we've been seeing since last night, he needs to find some players. And granted, it's not on him to get those players and trade and sign all that. But we know he's in on the meetings. We know they ask for input and whatever they would like. But he's got to find more players because again, he tried to play guys like DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet, Campaign barely even played this series. But like DeLon Wright double dribbled in a game. When the hell have you seen an NBA player?
yeah,
When was the last time you seen a player double dribble?
yeah. That's
Like
crazy.
travel is different. Sometimes you think you can get away, whatever, but literally double dribbling. He picked the ball up and then tried to play it again. Like it just, and the idea of guys like DeLon Wright is great, like because defensively, but when you play DeLon Wright, Deuce McBride, and Landry Shamet, and all they are giving you is 1 3 made, like, and they're like 1 for 4 from three. That's not doing anything for you. Like
Yeah,
that does nothing. Sure, it gets you a couple threes, but like I don't even know. Was that now I got to go back and find it. But there was a game where that literally happened, and it was like, yeah, Landry Shamet played 11 minutes. He was 1 for 4 from the field. He had 3 points. DeLon Wright, I think this was the game he double dribbled. He had 1 3 in 9 minutes. McBride had 1 3 in 15 minutes. Like that's just not going to cut it. No matter how good you are, you could have an all-star starting five. You're not you're just not going to be able to do much with it because you need to have players you can trust. And I think when you look at the teams that are in the finals of the Pacers and Thunder, they're going to be a blueprint. Like we saw, like last year, the Celtics, the Knicks kind of were made to battle the Celtics because the stretch five, the all the offense that you can have with your 5 players that can all shoot in big defensive wings. But now I think this year it's going to be a blueprint of what OKC and Indiana is doing. Like I think it just that's how fast the league is going to change, and it's going to be okay. Instead of getting maybe 2 top 10 players in the league, we get 2 top 20 players, 2 top 30 players, and we fill them out with what we need instead of just saying, "Hey, Cat and Brunson, you guys need to drop 75 points between the both of you, or else we're not winning the game."
yeah. No, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head too. And I think the Knicks, like you said, they made a mistake. They built their team to mainly focus on the Boston Celtics because
Right.
they thought, hey, Boston was going to be there. They're going to have to see Boston, whether it's the semifinals or the conference finals, to get to the NBA finals. And obviously, they met them in the conference finals. The Tatum injury changed everything, but they were not prepared and equipped to go up against a team like Indiana, because when you only focus on structuring your team one way, there's other assets that you also have to make sure are in place. And we saw that the Knicks were missing. They didn't have enough defensive guys. They were lazy back on the defensive end. They could keep control of the basketball. They were too loosey goosey with the basketball. And the Pacers were a team that exploited all their weaknesses. And we always said this too. We sound like a broken record. The NBA playoffs are all about matchups. You can have the best record in the NBA. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had the best record in the Eastern Conference, 65 wins. They got bounced out to a team that finished fourth. Why? Because they were a bad matchup. Now, granted, injuries they play a part, but I think even with those, if those players were healthy, Pacers were just a better team and they exploited their weakness. So you mentioned they're gonna go in the offseason. Okay, well, hey, Cat, either you're gonna have to learn how to slide your feet more, how to, not duck screens, how to not go under screens, because you're a 7-foot guy. Why are you ducking screens for? Why are you going under screens? Fight through the screens like Lou Dort and challenge the person. But
Yeah.
they're gonna have to have some serious conversation with Cat, like, yo, you need to work on this. You need to work on defensive stuff. Same thing with Bunsen. You need to work on your defensive skills.
Mhm.
They might have to maybe look to trading at maybe Mikal Bridges, maybe OG Anunoby, because this team as currently constructed is not gonna go. It's not an NBA Finals team, especially again. Indiana ain't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Boston obviously is going to be leap year for them with the Tatum injury, but if they come 2026, 2027, Celtics ain't going anywhere. Cleveland Cavaliers of Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, they ain't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Especially too, we don't even know what the teams out west are gonna look because Giannis might be on the move. Say if he stays in the Eastern Conference, maybe he stays with the Bucks, or maybe he decides to go with the Pacers. Who knows? West is gonna get tougher. You got again. The Spurs might make a move. Victor Wembanyama and Fox and Castle, they're gonna be back. LeBron, Luca, they're gonna be back. The Lakers gonna add. Is gonna look to make the roster better. Timberwolves ain't going better. So Timberwolves ain't going anywhere. Excuse me. They're going to be better. So this team right now for the Knicks, this is what happens when you have a tunnel vision. Like, okay, we got to be focused to beat Boston. We got to be focused to beat Boston. And it's like, oh, we weren't focused to beat that team that kicked our ass last year. And again, I just got to say too, like, listen, Halliburton had a great season overall. Had a great postseason against the Pacers. Obviously, could play a little bit better. Not Caliber, excuse me. Brunson had a great season, but I think if you're the Knicks, you probably maybe have serious conversation about trading Cat now. Giannis is available. Do you maybe, call up Indiana and say, hey, you want Carl Anthony Towns for Giannis? Obviously, that solo deal is not going to be enough. Maybe you might have to include OG or Mikhail and maybe a couple of first round draft picks. Kind of have to break up the Villanova, Wildcats, the Villanova Knicks. But to get a guy like Giannis, who not only extends your championship window, but automatically makes you a better team, that's a serious conversation that Leon Rose and the Knicks higher brass are gonna have to have. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, man. The Knicks, they just, I don't know what it's whether they got tired. Thibodeau just ran him to the ground. They were just outplayed and outmatched by the Pacers, Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Again, you said it. It's all about matchups. It's all about exploiting other teams' weaknesses, and Pacers did that to a T. I mean, it went six. It's not like the Knicks had no chance, but with the way that the Pacers were just finding things and taking advantage, I'm not surprised with how this series ended.
Yeah, yeah. I'm same here, and I'm looking at the Knicks roster, like, you know, Brunson took a huge pay cut to make sure to construct this roster as a championship. I believe he gave up like $100 million. Hart, I think Mikal Bridges is up for an extension. You gave up 5 first round draft picks for him, and this is what he gave you up against the Pacers. Now again, these numbers aren't terrible, but when you give up
Mhm.
5 first round draft picks for somebody, they should be getting you like 20, 25. But again, when you have Brunson and Cat, number 1, 2 option, it's hard to do that. But 15 points, game 6, 12, then 17, then 15, then 20, then 16. He only had one game where he had over 20 points against the Pacers. If I'm giving up 5 first round draft picks for somebody, you better be a legit 20 point a night plus scorer. And obviously, again, Mikal didn't have the opportunity because Brunson and Cat are taking majority of the shots. But they might have to have a serious conversation. Hey, do we extend Bridges? Again, he's a very, very valuable player. He's one of the best two-way guards in this league, and he's young at 28 years old. But do we extend him? You're looking at OG. OG had a pretty solid series for them too. 24, then 11, then 22, 16, 16. His main MO is not scoring, but you're paying. He just signed a big extension. What is it? Well, over $200 million for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You have a conversation. Is that somebody that we continue to pay? Because those numbers, $200 million for the next 4 or 5 years, that's somebody that you give to like a Brunson, to a Giannis, to a Wemby, to a Doncic, not a OG, but the market demanded that he get paid for that. Mitchell Robinson, does he come back on his team next year? Who knows? I would like to see maybe Deuce McBride play some more minutes. I don't know why he was only playing a handful of minutes, like 18, like 11 minutes, 15, 15. Like he needs to be playing more. Campaign. I like to see him play more, but again, I don't know what the Knicks are thinking, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau ain't going nowhere, but I think you hear the constant stuff of him not going deep into his bench, and I believe that's going to rear its ugly head again next year. Because if you got somebody like Mikal Bridges, who is the Iron Man of the NBA, doesn't miss a minute of basketball, is always healthy, playing, giving his hardest. If he's complaining about Tip's style of play, then it's a serious problem. But we'll see what the Knicks do in the offseason. But congratulations to the Pacers, man. They were just a better
Yeah,
team.
for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is it for this episode of Hoops All In. Thank you guys for tuning in. As I mentioned, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Hoops All In on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel at Hoops All In. Subscribe to Keith's personal YouTube channel at Keith HAI. Also, listen to us on the audio version at Hoops All In on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and iHeartRadio. For World's Francois, Keith Bazin signing off. We'll catch you guys next time on another edition of Hoops All In. Peace.